ball dome shining. Wisdom's my armor, truth seeker swagger, cutting through the drama. Clint Russell's the name, make 'em sweat like a sauna. Drop bars so heavy they crack the earth's karma. No sugarcoat flow, I serve it raw and bitter. Make cowards shiver, hearts cold like a river. They dodge my words like bullets from a trigger, but truth's a beast, I'm the cage unlocker, no quitter. All truth, no filter, no disguise. Spit facts that can't handle the size. Beautiful legend, Clint's the vibe, say it loud. They can't kill my pride. 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 They flinch at my bars like shadows in the alley. I'm the torch in the dark, turn valleys to rallies. Bald head gleams, no cap, no tally. Sharp tongue slicing lies, I'm a verbal finale. My rap's uncomfortable, like shoes 2 sizes tight, but they still listen close. I'm the voice of the night, dropping bombs of reality, setting minds alight. I'm the bald-headed prophet, unapologetically right. All truth, no filter, no disguise. Spit facts, they can't handle the size. Beautiful legend, Clint's the vibe, say it loud. They can't kill my pride. 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 They can't kill my pride.
This is a Dissident Media production. DissidentMedia.net.
In a world where everything sucks, 2 men have the balls to laugh at it. This is The System is Down.
Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Kirk is still dead. And there's a lot of people saying a whole lot of things about it. We're going to add to that noise. Let's go.
Big club, and you ain't in it.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The System is Down, your place for conspiracies, politics, religion, and lots of politics, lots of conspiracies. They're all the same thing at this point. Today's episode is brought to you by you guys in the Downers Club, people like Aaron, Michael, James, William, Sir Tur, Nathan, Galkin, Over, Gilda, Kate, John, Bob, Drugs, Autumn, Sean, CD, Zachary, Trash, Abrogate D's, Maxwell, Kimberly, Kim, Yuppie, Steve, Noah, JC, Justico, Joey Perry, Donald, Matt, Osmataz, Sean, Stoney, Stefan, Rick, Craig, Ryan, Tim, Howie, Nathan, Brian, Mary, Justin, John. If you want to get your name in that list and have it read incorrectly someday, go on over to patreon.com/The System is Down, where you'll get more weird, more raw, more offensive, more content when we get around to it. I'm not sure. We'll probably end up not doing one today. We'll just probably go for longer than we mean to. But lots to discuss. If you want to support the show and you want to get a big backlog of content, including but not limited to other after parties, music, and all sorts of things, patreon.com/The System is Down is the place to go. And I am joined, as always, by my guy, my man. I'm not sure if this is going to bring up the guest, too, so we'll find out. Dave is here. Oh, good. I had that scene set up properly. Dave is here, and he doesn't get confetti. Oh,
none?
Damn it.
No
The
confetti
button's not working. Wait.
This is bullshit.
There we
You
go. Dave is here.
There it is, bro.
Dave, how's it going, man? It's been a week. How have you been?
Confetti ready, bro. I'm glad we're paying this issue the attention it deserves, and we got that dude Clint with us. I am pumped to be here, bro.
Absolutely. And you guys know we've talked about this topic a few times, not as much as some other people, but more than some people who want it to just be swept under the rug. But one of the people that has been keeping up on it much more than we have and keeping an eye out for all sorts of clues is our good friend of the show, Clint Russell, who is here. Clint, that's the
What's
one
up,
I wanted. Clint, how's it going, man? Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, gentlemen. Yeah, I've been hot on the trail, just because I think, as you said, there's a lot of people that want to move on that that really don't want to dig on this. They don't want to talk about it. So I'm like, it just stinks to hell to me. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to let it go until I feel comfortable that we're actually getting justice here. And I'm not comfortable right now.
But Clint, isn't it like a dishonor to the dead to try and find out how they got dead?
That's what I keep getting told. Yeah. I'm trying to, I don't know, get attention off of Charlie Kirk's death or something crazy. But it's like, well, I don't know. I think that the people who are trying to rewrite his legacy and make it very, very clean and very, lucrative for a foreign nation.
Very Zionist.
Those are the people. Yeah. Those are the people that I have a little bit more disdain for than the Candace Owens of the world, who seems to genuinely be interested in justice for one of her best friends on Earth, who was brutally murdered in front of her eyes, essentially. So that's where I'm at with it. And I think, it's going to be interesting to recap this information with you guys that I've followed and see what you think.
Absolutely. So what's kind of your history with Charlie? Are you similar to us where we knew of him? We knew it was the Republican guy who debated on college campuses and had the clips and the moments and whatnot. Did you ever meet him personally, or are you just I know you're at most a layer removed from him.
Yeah. I mean, I'm primarily removed from him. Like, we're different worlds. He's MAGA Inc. and I'm, libertarian rebellion folks. So like we didn't cross paths often, but I did go to a couple TPUSA events, and I think I met him. Met him as in like, hey, like not really, so
like a nod. Hello, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So like, no personal relationship to speak of, but I knew of him. I knew, I had crossed paths a couple times, and I still viewed him as more or less a colleague in this world, just another person that was talking about politics. Obviously he has a very different lane. He's trying to get out the vote and smooze and, get funding and all this other stuff that I'm not interested in. So, very different lanes, but kind of a similar day to day in terms of talking about politics. So
absolutely. So let's go back to when it happened. What was your take on it immediately? I know a lot of people who have an anti-Israel bias or have a anti-Zionist bias immediately came out and they were like, no, this was obviously Israel that did this. I know that you held off a little bit on that, but you've kind of come around. But what was kind of your first impression of the whole thing? Did you go with the narrative? Because like for me, it kind of felt similar to like the Trump shooting thing and 9/11. I've kind of lumped these three things together. In where it first happens, you're like the patriot of all patriots. You're like, fuck, let's go. Like the war is on. And then you start looking into it and you're like, oh wait, that doesn't make sense. And that doesn't make sense. Did you just want a war to be on? But what was your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw the shots get fired, or the shot to get fired, are you supposed to be on the screen?
Hey, Dan.
Oh, no, sorry. That's supposed to be you. And I was trying to get Dave on there too.
It's the Dan show.
Go ahead and look at me while you talk.
I'll talk behind the scenes. I don't care. Yeah, I mean, my first thought when I saw the video was like, well, he was assassinated. And my very first thought when I saw the graphic one where the what appears to be the carotid artery kind of has this like immense bloodletting was just that he's gone. I just thought that right away. And I remember, because Josie is much closer to him than I was. And she was the first person that I told that to, because I just said, I just saw a video, I know he's your friend, but I want you to be prepared because I'm pretty sure he's gone. Because at the time there was reports circulating that, he was hanging on, that he was being transferred to the hospital and he still had a pulse and that they were working on him and blah, blah, blah. And I just messaged her right after I saw that. And I was like, there's not a chance. Like, he's definitely gone. So anyways, as far as like conclusions as to who was responsible, I had none. I didn't go into this with the anti-Israel sentiment guiding me, not at all. There's obviously a tremendous amount of people that would have incentive to see Charlie Kirk dead. So I think it's a huge mistake for people to assume that they know just because it happened like right away. Okay, I know. Now I lean more in the Ian Carroll direction today, but I don't think I think it was like 24 hours after it happened that he was
More
basically
information
declaring
has
it.
come out since then.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm still not convinced that he's right, but I lean more in his direction based off of the information that I have seen. So that's where I was at with it in the first 24 hours. And then as the FBI narrative started to, take a figure, like started to be presented in a way that was attempting to be a cohesive narrative, it just started to clash more and more with the evidence that we did have. And then I was like, all right, well, now I'm full blown tinfoil, and I'm
Yep.
going to start to really dig into all of the internet sleuths and what they're doing and the Google searches and, every possible angle that you could consider. And as I did that, I came to some very uncomfortable, I guess, not conclusions, but hypotheses as to what I think happened. So that's where I'm at with it right now. And I've tried, I think that's the reason that people have enjoyed my show so much over the past 7 weeks, is that so many people have a dog in the race. Like they're trying to, prove out their initial suspicions.
It's a groyper. It's
And
a
I'm-
leftist. It's all
Right.
all the extremists. It definitely can't be, any foreign entity or anything, unless it's Qatar
right.
or Iran.
But I'm saying even the people that want to believe that it's intelligence agency, like many of them are like, it's just confirmation bias.
Sure.
Like they're just trying to fill that narrative to make themselves, have been right earlier than everybody else. I'm not interested in being right. Like I mean, I'm interested in being right in the sense that I want there to be justice, but I'm not interested in being like, I told you so, I got it first. Like I just want to make sure that we actually get justice here. And I think that's how most people sitting at home feel. Just oftentimes the political commentators struggle with that. So
Absolutely. So what were some of the initial clues, the false flag, red flags, if you will, of things that started pushing your buttons to be like, oh, I maybe it wasn't some furry kid leftist who had a World War II rifle that had a magic bullet in it and magically got off the building and got away to go write a love sonnet to his furry girlfriend or something. What were the first red flags for you?
Well, I guess the first red flag would be that it was very definitive, like the early reporting from the FBI, which, by the way, the FBI wasn't even supposed to be running the case and allegedly still aren't. But, it's supposed to be the Utah Sheriff's Department that's handling this. But you had FBI agents that were on the ground, including Kash Patel, like the head of the FBI, and they're just painting a very rock solid narrative as to what transpired, like fast, like within 48, 72 hours. They're like, we got our guy. And then they're like, no, we don't got our guy. And then they're like, we got our guy. And they're like, oh, never mind. That was also just a crazy dude. And then they're like, okay, now we got our guy. And I'm like, okay, well, it's obvious to me that you guys are interested in like a quick answer to this as opposed to the right answer.
Right.
So that's right away. Anybody sitting at home should be saying to themselves, these people are not interested in like the actual truth. Like they're just interested in like, we want to look good. And that's the one thing I hate most about the Trump administration at this junction, even though there's a lot to hate. Maybe we'll get into that later. But is that like, it's all about aesthetics. It's all about appearance. We want to look good, whether or not we're doing good. And that's Kash Patel through and through to the core. That's who that guy is, which really pisses me off because I've met him and thought he was the real deal. And I got that totally fucking wrong, which sucks. But
We all did.
anyways, yeah. So that was like number one, was when they had those conversations that were happening. I was like, all right, that stinks. I don't understand how you're saying you got the guy and like it's over. Like Kash Patel was tweeting that out and they totally didn't have the guy. Like that's a crazy misstep.
Was that when they had
in
when they just had the pants dropping guy, or who was the guy that they had at that point?
I think it was pants dropping guy as you described him. But it could have been somebody else. I'm not even sure at this point. Who cares? It wasn't him, obviously. So, and then, obviously, once the 30-06 report started to come out, I totally lost my mind. I was like, you got to be fucking kidding me. The softest part of the human body, which it basically is, like your neck is like the softest part of the human body. If you've ever shot, you're just like, that's not a 30-06. Like, that's not what happened. I'm sorry. You're lying. So once that happened, I was like, okay, full blown tinfoil. Like there's something really fucked up about all this. And then they release the footage of, Tyler Robinson. Every time I say Tyler Robinson, just put in scare quotes because who knows, right?
Yeah.
But him on the rooftop, basically fleeing within seconds of taking the shot, but yet they don't release the footage that actually shows him in the prone position taking the shot. That rubbed me the wrong way. Then you've got Candace Owens releasing the footage of Tyler Robinson at Dairy Queen right after the shooting, and you're like,
Because that's what you do after
Okay.
shooting somebody. You go get an ice cream cone.
well, yeah, and not just shooting somebody, but committing like legitimately the most high profile political assassination in our lifetimes. And this kid's like, well, I'm gonna go, buy a Blizzard just for I don't know, a cover story or something, and then the additional details come out in the stories essentially that he pulls off this miraculous thing because like he's not a military veteran, he's not a lifelong criminal, he's just some like seemingly good, intelligent kid from a decent family who starts banging a dude and loses his mind and decides to kill Charlie Kirk. Like that's the narrative, right? But he pulls off this like, and I'm not saying that the shot is impossible. I'm saying he pulls off an assassination, a high level assassination, getting onto this rooftop without like there's a professional security team surrounding Charlie Kirk. So that's pretty miraculous that like nobody sees him somehow. But even more miraculous is that he doesn't get caught. He gets away like scot-free. And then within 24 hours, he allegedly turns himself in after confessing to his parents. But then the reports come out, he didn't confess, but he turned himself in because his parents essentially got a tip that like the cops were coming for him because of this footage that had been released and that like they were afraid that he might be killed. But still the narrative from the FBI initially is that he has confessed to his parents. But then he goes in, he gets brought in or turns himself in, which, by the way, the FBI takes a victory lap over that as if they did fucking anything when they didn't. And then he pleads not guilty, despite the fact that the reports are that he confessed to his family. And it's like, okay, man, I mean, if I haven't given you enough already to be like, yeah, there might be something to this that needs additional digging. I just feel like people aren't paying attention. Then you take the macro analysis and you start to say, okay, of all the political assassinations that have happened in the past century, is there a single one that was like actually ran by a lone nutter? And the answer is not really. Like you actually go back and you look through it and it's like Martin Luther King Jr. was almost certainly taken out by the FBI, in my opinion. Fred Hampton, same. JFK, CIA. RFK, I think that was MK Ultra again. I think that was CIA. This is according to Bobby Kennedy Jr. That's how he feels about it.
I'll take his word on that.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not he's right, it's still that's a meaningful opinion to throw on the table, right? So
that stuff, even though that's not probably admissible in court, that absolutely has to come into play when you're doing like this kind of.
Yeah, when you're doing your armchair analysis, right? You got to you got to take a step back and be like, be like, all right, what do these cases usually add up to? And it's never been, I mean, just to be clear, I don't think it's ever been Israel behind those. I mean, maybe with JFK, maybe, I'm not sure. Probably. Probably. but I'm just saying like that doesn't lead to, okay, well then obviously Charlie Kirk was being taken out because he was abandoning the pro-Zionist cause. Like that, it's not a natural conclusion just because you take this macro lens and you say all of these alleged lone nutter gunmen ended up being a much more complicated story. Whether or not you believe I'm right that it was FBI, CIA, it's still much more complicated than Lee Harvey and all these other guys, right? So that obviously gives a lot of credence to like, all right, digging is worthwhile here. Whether you think Tyler Robinson did it or not, you ought to be very interested in digging further. If nothing else, to make sure that Tyler Robinson and his collaborators also are held to account. Because I just don't believe for a second that if he did it, that his furry homeboy at home wasn't involved or the Discord chats that he was involved in, that none of those people were privy, even though you've got all these like cryptic messages and kind of foreshadowing that was being done online from a handful of other accounts. And you're like, all right, well, why aren't those people also being charged? Shouldn't they be some sort of accessory to the crime? Like something? Nope. we got our one guy. He worked alone, open and shut. And it's like, all right, I don't fucking buy any of this. Okay. You're like, it's
gun
I've
without a
seen enough.
serial number. It's too old.
Yeah.
Antique gun. Just
of course.
Amazing. Amazing feats.
I haven't even gone there yet. Let's go there.
Sure.
All right. So now we have to believe that he takes this Mauser up on the rooftop, and he's done so by allegedly dismantling it. And where did he put it after dismantling it? Well, either he put it in his backpack, which is so small that I just don't think there's any possible way you can fit that barrel in there, because it's a significant length of barrel. So then you have to assume that it's been put in his pants. But then you see the photos of him that's been presented to us by the FBI, and it's like, oh well, those pants are fucking skin tight. There's no way you're going to have a barrel of that length in his pants. And he's
is that an antique rifle, or are you just happy to see me?
Yeah. And he's also walking upstairs with them, and you can't see the imprint of the barrel. So none of that makes sense. And then you have the video of him getting off the rooftop. You don't see the rifle. I mean, people try and tell me that you can see it. I don't fucking see it. I see what looks like a floppy, kind of towel looking device. It doesn't look at all to me firm like a rifle, but it's kind of grainy. So like, I leave that open to interpretation. I'm just telling you my opinion.
At the end of the day, you're just zooming in, enhancing, and just trying to figure out, is that a hard dick or a soft dick? And that's really all it was at the end of the day.
Right. But this is a very sizable weapon, and like anyone saying that he was jumping off with that in his hand, I'm sorry, I don't see it. That's my honest opinion. And then they find the rifle on this property. That there's a lot of fuckery with that too. It's really interesting. The Google search history shows that the address where that gun is found is searched in Israel. I think it was either Israel or DC, in the weeks or like the days before the attack itself. That's fucking super strange. And you're like, okay, well, if you're going to be Googling that address to go plant that rifle, that would probably show up in the search history now, wouldn't it? So like, and I haven't even gone into all of the oddities when it comes to the Google search history, which is, I forget his name, but this guy's been doing incredible work to lay out that, like, it's
I don't even know if I've heard about the search history.
Okay, well, I'll give kind of a very bare bones explanation, but people will have to watch hours of content to really understand that what I'm saying is not totally far-fetched and absurd. But essentially, this guy goes out and he's just some random guy, and he just starts to do search history through Google Trends to try and figure out, like, if there's any oddities that have happened when it comes to the name, Tyler Robinson, the name of the hospital that Charlie was taken to, the surgeons at the hospital, all these other things, right? And it turns out that, like, almost every single term that is involved in the FBI's narrative has been searched from like the July period through early September, right before the attack. And it has, like, there's no other search history in the rest of the country. But there are hits in DC, Atlanta, which has the FBI field office, and Israel. So, like, for different terms. I'm not saying like all of those search terms hit for all of those areas, but I'm just saying like fucking Langley, FBI field office, Atlanta, and Tel Aviv. Like, they just keep bang, bang, bang. And we just keep getting these spikes for search history of terms that nobody's searching for before, like not at all. And then all of a sudden they all start to spike right after. And this is the other thing that got me so hot on the trail, is I got really freaked out, because I started to think, especially after the text messages got released by Candace that demonstrated pretty definitively that all of the inner circle for Charlie were lying, that he was in fact like really fighting against his Zionist owners, and that he was like hemorrhaging them and actually standing strong and allowing that to play out.
One of the biggest moments, in my opinion, was her withholding the evidence of the text messages that she put out, so kind of baiting these people into responding, being like, oh, she's full of shit, she's full of crap, whatever. And then for her to present them, and they just have to eat shit. She crushed them. Magnificent. Yes.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So she does that, and I'm like, okay, well, now I know for a fact that his inner circle is filled with liars, like dangerous liars, people that are lying about what would amount to, if you just imagine for a second that Josh Hammer is actually Charlie Kirk's friend, which at this point, if you still think that, you're a fucking idiot. But just imagine for a second that's what his role is in Charlie's life. He's an advisor, but he's also his friend, which is what Josh Hammer would like you to believe. Okay, then you see your friend fucking shot in front of the world, brutally murdered. And then in the aftermath of that attack, you don't tell anybody that, in fact, Charlie Kirk was fighting with Zionist donors and losing millions and millions of dollars to try and maintain his relationship with Tucker Carlson. You don't say any of that. Worse, Candace Owens comes out and reports on those group chats that you're in yourself, and you come out and you call her a liar repeatedly. I'm sorry, but like now you've fucking opened yourself up to like
now you're part of it.
Serious inquiry.
Yep.
I'm like, I don't know that you're involved in the plotting or anything like that, but now I don't trust you at all, and
you're involved in the cover up
forever. Yes, exactly. And just keep in mind, this is in the early hours or like the days and weeks right after your buddy's been shot, and people are trying to figure out what the fuck happened, and you're lying through your teeth over and over and over again. And he still like comments on shit like nothing's even happened. Yeah. And I'm like, you got caught lying about the most high profile assassination in our lifetimes.
And it's very heavily implicating you in some degree as being at least not on the up and up when it comes to like getting to the bottom of figuring out what happened to your quote unquote best friend. You've mentioned Josh Hammer quite a bit on your show and talked about him being maybe a handler to some degree. How well, what do you explain that?
It gets worse with Josh Hammer. So let me just round out this topic. Josh Hammer also, despite the fact that he's been caught red-handed lying about the fact that there was a legitimate motive that should have been inquired upon by the FBI or whatever law enforcement agency is responsible for trying to get justice for Charlie and his family, he has actively lied about that. Then this same son of a bitch liar comes out and says, we need to neutralize Tucker Carlson. I mean, think about how fucking crazy that is. Like, just add everything I just set up and just like, what does that equate to you? Like, there's something.
And then when called out on it, he cut out the bottom definition of the word neutralize that means kill.
Kill.
Like, just
exactly.
It's James Comey 8647 shit. That's how they talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. So, and I wasn't like really thinking that Josh Hammer was like an asset or involved in that way at first, but like then I start to do this research and basically I realized, because I'm like, who the fuck is this Josh Hammer guy? Like I'm sure the way you guys felt about it too is like, I've seen Dave Smith kick your ass twice. Like that's literally all I know about you, right? So
Timo Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, exactly. He's like fucking garbage, like dumpster water Ben Shapiro, and Ben Shapiro's not even good. So I start to do research on him because I'm just curious, and I'm like, all right, who is this guy? And I start to look into like all of the, like, where does he come from? What does he do? And he's like, all right, he's the editor-in-chief of Newsweek. He does regular hits on, Glenn Beck, Megyn Kelly, obviously with Charlie a lot, the TPUSA crew, he was doing that. And I'm just like, all right, so what's his audience look like? Like, because if you're getting invited on big platforms like that, like Dave gets invited on a lot of platforms because he brings an audience, because they know that a percentage of the people like us three are going to tune in to see how it goes. Josh Hammer has no audience to speak of. I start to look at his show and I'm like, oh, well, this guy must be high profile, because like, why are they keep bringing this guy in? Because all he's known for is getting his teeth kicked in by Dave Smith twice in my world. Right. So maybe he's got a big audience that like he's a draw. So that's why he gets invited on all of the biggest conning shows. No, he's not a draw. He's had a show, the Josh Hammer Show, for as long as I've had Liberty Lockdown, and he's got like a third the reviews that I do. Like he's a total non-entity. So I start to like think to myself, all right, so this guy's got like no audience to speak of, despite being on all the biggest platforms. I've never been on those platforms. I would be much bigger had I. But he's been on all these platforms, still has no audience to speak of, still gets invited back repeatedly. And I'm like, all right, well then this guy's being pushed, like that's the only conclusion you can come to there. He's not some fucking brilliant orator. He's not super compelling. He's obviously not great at defending the pro-Israel cause either, since he gets his ass handed to him by Dave over and over again. So like, why? And I go, okay, well, he's being pushed. Like, and then you if you actually understand the nature of the intel operations, and you actually understand the nature of influence operations, moreover, and then you see about a month ago or a couple of weeks ago, Bibi Netanyahu comes out. He has that meeting, which is inexplicably recorded and put out to the world. Big fucking mistake. And he's sitting down with a bunch of American influencers, and he's saying, you guys are the biggest weapon that we have in this fight. Basically, we've won the war, but we've lost the PR battle, and now it's up to you guys. And then you read reports that Mossad or whoever, whatever Israeli agency is responsible for it, is funneling, like, I don't remember the exact amount, but I think it was north of hundreds of millions of dollars into the influence operation to try and repair Israel's image, which, by the way, it's not fucking working, guys. You're wasting that money. It's
Wouldn't that be
going
considered,
terribly.
Similar to the whole Russiagate conspiracy and all that? Like, but they're doing it. Wouldn't that be considered buying an election, foreign influence, all that stuff? That's terrifying whenever anybody else does it.
Should be illegal. I mean, it should be a FAR violation for sure.
I know this is a total separate conspiracy theory rabbit hole we don't have to go down, but I'm pretty sure Monica Perez calls them created persons. Right. So Josh Hammer obviously displays, these characteristics, but I would push that further and say that Ben Shapiro is also a created person. We put that together, that slide.
I think Charlie was too, though. Sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, I just wanted to get out. I mean, it might not be working now, and that's great because the media landscape is so different. But in 2012, when Ben Shapiro was tweeting, Ron Paul, Jews, all this stuff, dude, repeatedly, just like it's his job. And it did work then. That did work. So I just have extra resentment for this entire op. We'll call it the op, whatever.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, bro. Yeah, no, me too. I mean, and then I've got a tremendous amount of resentment that the Trump administration, fully backs all of this. That, like, we basically won this huge culture war battle, right? And the woke were basically roundly defeated. And now we've got just the exact same fucking phenomenon that's happening on the right wing. But instead of trans or blacks or gays or whatever, now it's just Jews. Like, it's so obvious to anybody who was in our world that fought the left wokeness that you now see the exact same phenomenon happening on the right.
Those people are calling you woke right.
Right. Well, exactly.
That's the trick. That's the inversion.
Yes. And that's exactly why James Lindsay coined that. And I think, I don't think that James is actually an operative or anything. I just think that he's
retarded.
He's maybe, but I think he's really, like, he's destroyed his own career. He can't get back into academia because he wrote these reports that mocked that process. And then he flipped on the left, went to the right. And so now the left won't accept him. And now he's gone to the right. And I think he's got basically no avenues left for revenue. And he's just, like, scrambling. So, that's a very sad way of viewing things. I'm sure James would disagree with me, but I just don't think that there's any cohesive explanation for the woke right thing that he's been pushing. It just feels like an op to me, because it's like, it's so obvious that you're the woke right. Like, it's so fucking obvious to anyone.
It's the exact same tactics, and you just inverting the label. Getting back
but
on,
they also wanted to preempt us from using it against them.
Right.
It's like, it's almost brilliant in a way.
Yeah.
But it's also
it's good manipulation. Yeah. It's not bad propaganda. Well, it is bad propaganda because it doesn't. If you dig anywhere beneath the, like, thin surface layer, you realize it's all bullshit. But it's good manipulation at the very least, because it's worked to some degree. It worked on, Jordan Peterson bought into it. But I don't want to talk about these idiots too much. I want to get back on Charlie Kirk.
Can I answer the Hammer question? Because I didn't like complete why I think he's an op.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then once we realized that those text messages, I think there's 7 people on that text chain with Charlie, where he's saying, I have no choice but to abandon the pro-Israel cause, and that Jewish people act in all the worst stereotypical ways possible. Like, he's going fucking hard in the paint, and he's doing this with his pastor Rob on there, Andrew Colvett, the PR guy for TPUSA. You got Josh Hammer on there. Some rabbi is on there too. It's like, what a fucking weird group chat to be in. But anyways, setting that aside, I'm just thinking to myself, okay, so you already know that Dave Smith beat the brakes off Josh Hammer a year ago. Yep. But you're going to have this huge event in Tampa, and you're getting mad heat for having Dave there, for having Tucker there for talking about Epstein, and he just basically fucking feeds Josh Hammer to Dave again. Now, I had Dave on my show and I asked him about this, and he says, well, that wasn't really the plan. He was going to debate somebody else and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, maybe I'm reaching there. But you have to understand, according to Josh Hammer's retelling of his relationship with Charlie, is that he was in those group chats because he was like the Jewish advisor for Charlie Kirk to help him better defend the nation state of Israel. Yep. And I'm like, okay, so Charlie Kirk knows that you get your teeth kicked in every time you debate Dave Smith, but he's going to have you be his advisor when Charlie Kirk is way more capable of, contending with Dave's arguments than you ever will be, you lying, duplicitous scumbag. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't make sense to me. So then I start to think to myself, okay, well, he's hemorrhaging all these Zionist donors. Maybe Josh Hammer is a contingency for funding, that they have said, essentially, we're not going to give you our money unless you've got this piece of shit Josh Hammer in your ear. Maybe that's why, because I don't see a rational explanation as to why you have this scumbag in your inner circle otherwise, especially in the aftermath, realizing that after you're murdered, he went out and lied about you for weeks.
And promoted his book immediately and covered up shit. His book.
Last thing Charlie ever said to me is, buy my book. Like, what a fucking scumbag.
It's so gross.
So then it starts to make me wonder, maybe this dude's a handler. Maybe he's an asset. And I think it's fair to wonder that about Shapiro, but I got to be very clear. I'm not exonerating, even though I don't want to talk ill of the dead. I think it's very important for people to understand too. It's a distinct possibility that Charlie was in that position, that essentially he was put on the map thanks to Zionist money. And then when he tried to, be a real boy, they said, no, it's not. That's not how this goes. We built up TPUSA with Zionist bucks. And now you want to fucking have Tucker Carlson up there telling the truth about Epstein? No. That's not how this game gets played. Sorry, bud. And they pulled funding.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, they got all triggered about it.
Tell me that's not a compelling argument. I'm not saying that's what happened.
Clint, I want to say, and I wanted to cut you off.
Possible? Come on.
I wanted to cut you off a minute ago because I want to say, like, you don't really have to convince Dave and I. I feel like you and Dave Smith on that conversation, it was more you not really trying to convince or change Dave Smith's mind, but you being a little bit more like, no, it seems like there's more here than you're addressing, and pushing him a little bit there. I mean, I'm just at the point where I'm like, yeah, I believe everything that you're saying. Like, I at the beginning of this conversation, you're like, I don't necessarily believe it was Israel. I do. Like, I'm to the point where there's just so much shit. I can't be like, oh, yeah, it was probably the furry. Yeah, after all that.
We didn't talk about motive yet. We just started to. You just started to talk about serious motive. Like, if you are building a case, right? I mean, that's...
And there's still a million more things that don't make sense about it.
I mean, I think that's the strongest motive that exists in terms of, like, real power dynamics. And also, if you want to take another step back to the macro level, you've also got the fact that Israel has famously assassinated more people than any nation state on the planet fucking Earth.
We also haven't mentioned that Bibi was one of the first ones to come out and talk about it. And then he also, a couple days later, felt the need to come out and say, I did not kill Charlie Kirk. I swear I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. And we were all like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly, dude. It's like, wait, so Ian Carroll just tweets it out. Now we've got the fucking Prime Minister of Israel contending with, a tweet from Ian. It's like, look, so you add it all up, and I just think that the strongest motive argument, I'm not saying that the strongest conclusion, but the strongest motive is clearly that Israel would be very, very concerned about Charlie Kirk's shift when it comes to the pro-Israel argument, because he was the number one pro-Israel voice for young Republicans. Israel has already completely lost the narrative battle when it comes to the left. They are fucking done with Israel. It's over for them. So all they have is the right wing. And guess what? All they really have is the right wing boomers, like the Fox News viewers. That's all they really got left. And then they had Charlie Kirk's organization, which had probably a 50-50 or maybe a 60-40 split against Israel over the past year. And then you have Charlie Kirk essentially telling them to kick rocks. I don't care how much money you fucking people give me. I'm going to continue to have Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith at my events. We're going to keep talking about Epstein. I'm going to tell Tucker Carlson to go max right before he goes on stage. Like, all of this shit just adds up to, like, that is the strongest motive that exists. Now, just to be even-handed, I got to be very clear too. There's a lot of fucking lunatics on the left that absolutely wanted to kill Charlie Kirk. That's a fact. So to say that it's impossible that Tyler Robinson started to bang his homeboy and decided to kill Charlie Kirk, I'm not saying that that's impossible. It is possible. I'm just saying I think it's less likely. Like that's my honest opinion.
And even if it was, who's to say that it's not a patsy situation? Because that's certainly not a question either. Somebody had to pull the trigger, and somebody had to take the fall for it. So,
Yep. And I think that's the most likely answer, is that Tyler Robinson was involved, but he certainly didn't act alone. And I think that's where we ought to be looking most. And it's actually interesting. If you want to pull up this clip, Josie tweeted a couple hours ago. It's Charlie Kirk himself talking about the JFK assassination, and I can just recap it if you want, but it probably would be compelling to hear it from him himself.
I'll see if I can find it while you're talking.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's talking about the JFK assassination, and essentially what he says is, he starts to he just basically did what I just did to his own assassination, which is really fucking meta and crazy. But he's just rattling off all of these, I guess, inconsistencies in the narrative. Here, let's just run it. This is great.
Again, I think the best reading of what happened there is who wanted JFK dead the most. Again, a lot of people said Israel wanted JFK dead. I'd love to hear that argument. But definitely Lyndon Baines Johnson and parts of our own government.
Murk you for that.
And the Cubans wanted him dead. And who actually made it happen? There were like 15 or 20 things that happened that day that were inexcusable. They changed the parade route. He rode in an open-air convertible. LBJ decided not to ride alongside of him. The vehicle slowed down right when it went by the Texas School Book Depository. A lot there, right? And then, again, I think that all of us are smarter to believe that it was simply Lee Harvey Oswald. The more important question is not, who did it? We have to first acknowledge it, that more than one person did it. Yeah. Once we acknowledge that more than one person did it, then we can expose our government to have lied to us about the JFK assassination, which then I think will sober a lot of us about trusting the government in the future. Again,
fucking A, Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
That's something.
So anyways, the reason I wanted you to play that is because I just wanted to basically come to the conclusion is like, I'm not asking you to buy my hypothesis that like the most probable answer right now is that it was pro-Israel forces behind this. And by the way, pro-Israel forces could be our own intelligence agencies. Let's just be very fucking clear about that too. That could be the FBI. That could be the CIA. I'm not saying that it was a Mossad agent that actually did this. It could have been Tyler Robinson, who's being manipulated through fucking group chats. FBI also does shit like that. They try and basically take depressed and, like gender questioning people, fucking radicalize them. I think there's a distinct possibility that's what's happening with all of these like Christian school shootings. So anyways, I'm just saying, like that is a distinct possibility that I just want people to come to the conclusion of, if you can just admit that based off of everything I laid out so far, and I'm not talking to you guys, I know you're already on my camp here, but for everybody else who's doubting me, like just consider all of those things that I've listed. And by the way, I've got 50 others I could list that'll fucking blow your socks off. It's like it's so many things. I can't remember them all off the top of my head, but as we talk, I'm sure more will come to my mind. But just consider that if all of that, if everything I've said so far is true, which I'm pretty sure it is, then it's like, all right, at least you have to leave open the possibility that this is more complicated than just Tyler Robinson firing that gun. And once you come to that conclusion, well, then you need to really reassess, okay, then why is the FBI lying to you? Why is the FBI so adamant that just one random dude who's banging his homeboy fired this shot? Because if they're lying, then that means that they're covering it up. And if they're covering it up, that means they're in on it. And if they're in on it, then that means you're dealing with a most likely multi-tiered, intelligence agency operation. And then you extrapolate back to JFK, RFK, MLK, JFK, all of them, right? You're like, okay, well, then we got another one. That doesn't mean we have an answer as to who did it, but it means that this is another political assassination taken out by an intelligence agency, be that foreign or domestic.
For me, I make videos and tell stories for a living, and if I was making the movie of the Charlie Kirk thing, like let's say we adapt this for film, and the story goes, we just start with Charlie Kirk 6 months ago and show the progression of his thoughts and his conversations and his Tucker Carlson moments and Dave Smith moments and the backlash that he got and the backlash that he put on Israel and whatever, and some of his skepticisms there, and then all the stuff in the aftermath. But then at the end of the movie, it turns out that with all of that was just dumped, that information dumped for the last several hours of this movie, but at the end it's like, oh, it was a furry. Like it was just
Right.
it was just some kid that had nothing to do with it. You're like, oh, that movie sucks. Not that makes it true or false, but it would be the biggest plot twist ever, because there's a lot more.
Right.
I feel like there's infinitely more evidence that points to anybody other than Tyler Robinson at this point.
Yeah. Well, and at the very least, they could at least show us the footage of Tyler Robinson in the prone position taking the shot. And they haven't even given us that. And you got to really ask yourself why that is. Like, because here's my hypothesis. It didn't happen. That he was not in the prone position. That he was up there fucking doing some other shit. That he was a spotter. That he was involved in the operation, but he was not the shooter. I mean, that's the obvious answer as to why you wouldn't present that evidence, because that would calm so much of all of the controversy, right? But they don't do it. Why? Yeah. Why don't they do it? It's like, okay, because it doesn't fucking exist. Like that's the natural conclusion. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe at court day one they'll put it on the screen, and I'll be like, oh, well, there it is. Sure. But it's just very strange that they don't seem to have any interest in calming us down.
Maybe they're like, yeah, we got the text, we got the footage, but we're not going to show you until everybody exposes themselves as crazy. Whatever. I don't know.
That's what the cover up is part of the giveaway. They give it away with the cover up, and
yeah.
It's sad, man, but this is the thing that made people stop talking about Epstein, and worse yet, they're not even talking about Charlie Kirk anymore. So like it just kind of diffused the two, and the cover up spans the two conspiracies, right?
Yep.
Langley,
it sure does,
and Tel Aviv, right? These are the I would say, and
I completely agree. I think that whether or not Donald Trump was actually diddling kids, which I personally am not convinced that he was, it's obvious as all get out that he is actively covering up a child sex trafficking ring.
Even the diddling kids thing is looking worse by the day, especially today.
Yeah.
There's some bad stuff, but
there is, but there's also in those emails, they're redacting Virginia Giuffre's name, and she's on the record saying that she never saw Trump do anything. So I'm just saying, set that aside. Like, sure, it's an interesting tidbit, and it's obviously evil if Trump did that, but we don't need that. What we know is that the sitting president of the United States is covering up a fucking pedophile blackmail ring. We know that for a fact. And if you've been paying attention to this dude, I think it's like Hussein Mortaza or some shit. He's a fucking incredible journalist. He's been doing all these exposés on the Epstein connections to Israeli intelligence. You had an top level Israeli intelligence and former assistant to Ehud Barak, who's staying in Jeffrey Epstein's mansion or whatever in Manhattan repeatedly. Then you've also got the Prime Minister of Israel who's staying with Epstein 36 times or something crazy like that. It was like 35, 36, whatever, over a 4 or 5 year period. Like, no bullshit. The former Prime Minister of fucking Israel was hanging out with Jeffrey Epstein more than I see my family. Like, real shit. That's how often he was kicking it with homeboy. It's like, okay, so if we're going to pretend that this dude wasn't an Israeli intelligence asset, you're just fucking lying. So it's obvious, it's totally crystal clear obvious. Jeffrey Epstein absolutely was an asset for Israel. He could have been an agent for Israel. I don't know. I think he was an asset for them. And I think that obviously Maxwell, daughter of very famous Robert Maxwell, was also, legit Mossad spy. So anyways, what we know is that the president of the United States is covering that up. So why? Why is he covering that up? Well, it could be as simple as he got put into a position of power thanks to them, which is true. I mean, he became the president of the United States based off of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars from pro-Zionist money. That's a fact. Yep. But it's so devastating to his reputation it almost feels as if it's heavier, right? Doesn't it? Like, doesn't it feel as if like he's literally willing to just eat shit for the rest of his life, to have his entire fan base just completely despise him to defend
for
this
a guy
obvious
who's
operation.
so self-absorbed and ego-driven, like for somebody who's all about me, for his base that he is convinced to praise him as a god, a deity for the last 10 years, to now be like, well, I guess I have to literally just eat shit, bite my tongue, and tell them it's a hoax. What files? What are you talking about? And it's not going well for him.
I don't think he cares one bit. I don't think he cares. WWE Hall of Famer Donald Trump does not care if you are cheering him, booing him, as long as everything that he's building just. Dude, he's just empty inside. You ever see him do TV commercials back in the 90s and shit? He'll say whatever. He's just a blank canvas. Doesn't give a fuck.
Well,
I don't.
You can have that opinion. I feel a little bit differently about him just because I've met and talked to his son at length, Don Jr. and like, good dude, like almost one of us. Like I was talking to him about the Vegas shooting, and I can't. It was off the record, so I'm not going to say what he had to say about it. But like fucking based, like I was like, I just don't believe that
he was all about releasing the Epstein files before too.
Yeah, exactly. And then he's very close with all of his kids, and it's just like, usually if you're that big of a sociopath scumbag piece of shit, like, you're gonna have a falling out with some of them, and like, no, they're all super tight. So I don't know, it's just an interesting dynamic. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I have reason to believe that Donald Trump is actually not that bad of a guy.
His kids seem like they are good parents and care about like are nurturing parents. So I see that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's just my vibe check. I'm not saying that it's true. That's just how I feel about it, right? But so the point that I'm getting to is for Donald Trump to bite his tongue on this issue when like they're caught dead to rights. Like anybody who's actually paid attention to this story, I'm not guessing. Like fucking Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad asset, like, or Israeli intelligence asset if it wasn't Mossad. It doesn't matter, right? And he had a close relationship with Donald Trump, and Trump knew he liked him young. Trump knew all of this, right? He kicks him out of Mar-a-Lago, et cetera, et cetera. So my hypothesis, and this is more tinfoily, I'm not saying that it's right, but I start to think like, I think he's afraid for his life. Like that's my honest opinion. And not just him, his entire fucking family. I think that he realizes that the Butler narrative, he probably had the FBI, take another look at that, and he's just like, oh shit, like this kid didn't act alone. Like I'm just alive by the grace of God. And these people are going to kill me, and they're going to kill my daughter, the apple of my eye, or my sons, or whatever. And I just think that's where he's at. I think he's fully compromised, and I almost have sympathy for him, except for the fact that like you're a fucking 80-year-old dude, and we need a hero right now. So I wish you would be that. But
at least don't pretend to be it, and then not. And then be the exact opposite, which is what's happening right now. But real quick, if you find yourself like being invited to work at a massage parlor that gets a little too friendly and you find yourself injured on the job, perhaps you should contact Lone Star Injury Attorneys.
The great William Shakespeare once said, "First thing we do, let's kill all the lawyers." That's right. It is common knowledge that literally no one in the known universe actually likes lawyers. That is, until they're saving your ass. Max the Axe at Lone Star Injury Attorneys is a professional ass saver. A rare breed, though he be a lawyer, he is indeed a principled libertarian, a defender of the injured and downtrodden, a supportive, faithful Downers Club member, my personal favorite, and a shockingly kind and hospitable fellow at an award-winning personal injury law firm. So if you've been injured on the job in an automobile accident or some other form of cattywampus beyond your personal control, visit LoneStarInjuryAttorneys.com or just Google Max the Axe for maximum results. Consultations are free and you don't pay a single dime unless you win. Go with the pros at LoneStarInjuryAttorneys.com and get your ass covered.
And we are back with more. We've got a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns in this, and it can go in a lot of different places. I feel like it would take a 6-hour episode to even break down all of the oddities of the initial happenstance, like the initial footage, all the stuff. Like we spent it feels like months, but it was only a few weeks. Everybody just one after the other, just it was this guy, it was that guy. Look at this footage, this angle here. It's obviously coming out of the guy's shirt cuff, or it's coming from behind him, or it's coming down from the ledge. It's a million different ways that it can be not what
notice,
the official narrative is. What's your take on it?
Well, you'll notice I didn't go there. Like I didn't bring up any of that. I didn't bring up fucking the dudes signaling and pulling their sleeves and the palm gun guy or any of that shit. Like, because I don't find any of it super compelling. Like that's just my honest opinion. So I've tried not to waste my audience's time with that. If it turns out that any of that's legit, then okay, sure, that's great. But I don't find it to be like solid evidence by any stretch. Whereas like the group text that they lied about is super fucking solid evidence. And you got to also, this is a very important reminder, Andrew Colvett, who was Charlie's basically second in command, top PR guy for TPUSA, he's in that group chat. This fucking guy screenshots that message with Charlie saying that this is right after his friend got killed. And he sends that to the government. Now, I don't know who he sent it to in the government. My guess would be Kash Patel. Could have been Don Jr. Like it could have been somebody else, but
he said that, right? Like after the texts came out, after Candace Owens released them, that was his kind of cover a little bit. He was like, "Oh yeah, I did turn them over immediately to the government, but I didn't want to put them out publicly because it was private conversation." But you also didn't, come out and say Candace is not lying here.
Right. So, you lost my respect there, but I just want to, instead of going down that blame game, I just want to like point out what that means. What it means is that one of Charlie's closest confidants, second in command at the organization, thought enough of those messages that he thought it could be a potential motive, and he sent it to the fucking government. Mm-hmm. So anybody who wants to say that Candace Owens or Ian Carroll or Clint Russell or anybody else who's been fucking digging on this case is out of their minds to wonder the same, well, fuck you. Because Andrew Colvett thought it too. Okay? Yep. He thought it this was before Candace Owens was doing anything. He thought it. So I think that's a really important thing for people to just tussle with. Why the fuck did he think that? Why did he think that I'm hemorrhaging donors from Zionists and ultimately I have no choice to leave the pro-Israel cause was a meaningful thing that the government needed to know about right after he was murdered? Ask yourself that. That's serious shit.
And all of that, like anything involving TPUSA, obviously raises a very large question, be it Josh Hammer or the Colvett, whatever his name is, Andrew, whatever. Any of their involvement or their cover-up or their just not being putting out there. And I did like that Anomaly on your show yesterday, I think, brought up a good point. Like if they are currently working on this case with the FBI or whatever, and there's some behind-the-scenes stuff and they're not allowed to talk about it, that might be one explanation. But it does seem like TPUSA in and of itself isn't doing a whole lot to try and get the truth out there, or they're just even Erica Kirk said it was obviously maybe not obviously, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but she said it was what the official story, what the official narrative is. That's what we're going with, and that's what they have stuck with. No matter what comes out or what anybody says, they're just going to bite their tongue, not address it, and say, "Nope, this is what happened, and we're very, very sad that our friend Charlie Kirk died. Now, please send money."
That's all super strange, but I will say I've got a lot of sympathy for Erica Kirk, and I'm not I've gone out of my way not to talk about her. So I just want to say, even if you think that she's not telling the whole truth, she just lost her husband and she's got 2 young kids at home, and she's probably scared to death. If just imagine for a second that she does agree with me or Candace Owens, right?
Seems weird to put yourself in the CEO position if you're scared to death, but go on.
Okay, that's fair. But from my vantage point, I'd be like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to risk talking any further. But yes, taking on the CEO role does defeat that entire argument. So,
for a very conservative, the man should be the lead role of the house type of business as well. There's some odd things and there's some ties, and I don't think it should be completely off the table. I'm not saying Erica Kirk did anything, but there's some things that don't make sense, and we can all pretend like they're not there, but they're definitely there. And it does suck that she is a widow now, but
There's definitely a Venn diagram
weird.
out there there should be, where however success level your podcast, you can talk about all the stuff at the
Yes.
bottom.
Nobody
and then
cares
as it
about
gets
us,
higher,
so
you
we
can talk
can put
about
this out.
some more. It's like the incremental line to communism is like democratic socialism.
Well,
You got to get that out of the way first.
No, I hear you. I hear you. Well, I guess I'll just say, my bias is that, and I think this may come from my own personal, challenges over the past 6 weeks because my dad died, and so it's like it's really hard for me to like imagine, my dad died of melanoma. So it'd be like if people are like Clint Russell gave his dad melanoma, I'd be like, what the fuck,
Right.
like that would be the worst thing that could possibly happen because I'm so
New theory
I'm so
just dropped,
devastated.
internet. Clint
So,
Russell gave his dad melanoma.
Yeah. So like, I just feel like unless you have fucking real serious solid evidence, just don't
Sure.
go there.
That's-
That's how I feel about it. But
Bro,
I
real
respect
quick.
it. I disagree, but I respect it.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Clint.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't know that. I'm sorry you're going through that. And but
Thank
I
you.
only brought
It's been
that
hard.
up because I rarely do any, if at all, research for the show. But I did listen to your 3-hour extravaganza
It's
with
okay.
Dave and Ian Carroll, and I really appreciated your sense of urgency throughout it. Even
Good.
like I
because
really
I don't
did.
feel like people are fucking taking this seriously, dude. It's crazy.
Right, and some of the stuff, like it's almost like the Charlie Day meme, like with the chalkboard and like, oh no, but it connects, man. Just trust me, it connects. Like you kind of have
does.
to be that guy, but it fucking does connect.
Yes,
So
it
I just
does.
wanted to say that I appreciated that.
You're not crazy.
Well,
Don't
thank
let
you.
them gaslight you. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say too, again, I have a lot of sympathy for Dave in this because
Totally.
he was much closer with Charlie. It also opens him up to real concerns if I'm right, if my hypothesis is right, not saying that I actually even am definitive on this, but if my hypothesis is right, like the most likely answer is that the abandoning the pro-Israel cause was the reason that Charlie Kirk was ultimately murdered. Well, then Dave kicking the shit out of Josh Hammer at the penultimate TPUSA event in July in Tampa is like, that is part of it. So Dave has a lot of incentive, and I'm not saying he's doing this consciously, but he's got a lot of incentive to like not want to hear what I have to say.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like it's fucking freaky, dude. So
And
I
Dave
think
Casey
that's-
is also right that there's tiers to the level of comfort that you have in saying certain things when you get at a certain level.
Sure.
We're not there. You're certainly higher than we are. Dave's higher than you are, and Tucker Carlson's higher than Dave is.
Exactly.
And it's like the higher you get up, the more they're like, oh, well, it
Well,
does
that's
look
what makes
suspicious.
that's what makes Candace Owens so special, is because she's
Yeah.
going harder than me, and she's doing it at the highest level, right? So, yeah. But that's
And
I just
I don't know, man. I know this isn't everything, but Candace gives a vibe where I'm like, I believe her. I
I do
don't
too.
know that it's the truth, but I believe her. Josh Hammer speaks, I don't believe you.
She speaks with
Why aren't
conviction,
why
that's
aren't
for
you
sure.
looking for, even if you disagree with Candace, why wouldn't you just be like, look, we all grieve in different ways. If that's your boy, just like let her go. No, you want to destroy her because she's like
Right.
trying to figure out what's up. Come on.
but I gotta extrapolate on that point. So it's not just Dave Smith that I have sympathy for. It's also Nick Fuentes, like, because Nick Fuentes upset his audience big time by coming out and going like, I just don't see it. I just don't see that this Israel lead into the Charlie Kirk killing, and that's like, yeah, well, you
that-
better not see it.
That made me not trust him, but go on.
Okay, but I read it the other way. I read it
Sure.
the same way I feel about Dave. With our conversation, is like these guys are fucking freaked out. Subconsciously, even. I'm not even saying it's conscious. I'm just saying they.
And
really
at that
don't
level,
wanna
you got to
connect that
wait.
dot.
Yeah, you got to wait and really hope and pray that you're not right, even if you have it in the back of your mind when you're at a certain level.
Exactly, dude. Because like, if I was on their level, like, there's almost nobody who's gone harder on Israel than those guys, and it's like,
Yeah.
if you think that Charlie Kirk, just because he was going to flip on them, that they wouldn't also want to take out people like that, it's like, of course they would. But I think, personally, I don't think that we're like I mean, I hope I'm right about this. Obviously I don't know. I don't think we're like lined up for a ton of political assassinations of all anti-Israel voices over the next couple of years. I hope I'm right about that. We'll see. God willing. But I think that's what makes the argument, the Israel hypothesis on the Charlie Kirk killing so compelling, is that you have all of these really prominent, loud voices that have been fucking just wrecking their shit for years now, right? And it's like Charlie Kirk was like the big young right-wing influencer voice that hadn't done that yet.
He was the last one they had, and
Yes,
the biggest
but he
one
was
at
like,
it.
his toes were on the line, and he was dipping his toes over them over and over again. And anybody who's watched my coverage of this, I'm not guessing at that. Charlie Kirk came out and was questioning whether or not 10-7 was a false flag. He did not buy at all that a nation the size of New Jersey would have a dozen hours.
That was like a year ago too, wasn't it? When he was on PBD
2 years ago, brother. That was
Okay.
PBD in November of 23.
So immediately he was more of a conspiracy theorist on that than we were on that
Yes.
or the Charlie Kirk thing.
Yes, but he didn't stop. And immediately after that, that's when he started to get heat. He started to get articles written about him saying he was an anti-Semite and a bigot and this and that. And he's like, I'm the biggest pro-Israel fucking dude out here. What are you talking about? And then he just doesn't stop. He just keeps going. He keeps bringing it up, and he keeps talking about Epstein, the intel angle on that. And he just like keeps pushing the envelope, and he keeps having Tucker on. He keeps talking to Candace and Dave and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like it all lines up. I'm sorry, it does. It just lines up where like you've got all of these hard anti-Israel voices that you're not going to be able to stop, and they've already kind of done their damage, so to speak. But then you got this one guy who's got immense influence, especially amongst the young, which is the last demographic that Israel can afford to lose.
At a
And
big
he is
turning point.
really playing with the idea of abandoning you entirely. In fact, 48 hours before he dies, he says it verbatim. And you're going to tell me that that's a motive that we can't fucking consider, that we can't look into seriously? Get out of here. That is so, like, if you were just, I don't know, an FBI agent, that would be like the first
Or
thing
the
you
head of the
fucking look
FBI.
at. That would be the first thing you look at. You know what I mean? And it drives me
and
nuts
he's not
that
he's
they
not-
act like
he-
we're
he has
crazy
a-
to wonder it.
He doesn't just have a podcast that's popular. Like he has
it's
the
way bigger
email
than that.
list that dwarfs Tom Wood's fucking email that he became a millionaire. Just think of the immense power that's behind Turning Point. Like it's a monolithic, massive influence, money, power, all of it, dude. Of course, you can't
Yep.
say those things. Of course.
Yep. And he even worse, his donor sources required that he not say those things. And he just said, I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, if you've dug deep on this stuff, if you've read One Nation Under Blackmail or done any deep dive, read Mearsheimer, you just start to come to the conclusion, like, you're dealing with fucking gangsters, bro. Like, these are legitimate gangsters. They may not be painted that way when it comes to Hollywood movies. It's always the Italians, but Jewish mafia is fucking serious. Like, and I think Charlie Kirk ran into it headlong. Like that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, so it would seem. All signs point to, the unspeakable. Oh, did I lose my camera?
Where'd you go, bro?
That's unfortunate. Well, I'm gone. Here's a fake super chat. Fake super chat from No One At All says, Clint, thank you for all you do for our cause. We're all inspired by what you do on a daily basis. And before...
Is this really a fake super chat?
Yes, we take fake super chats here because YouTube does not allow us to super chat. So if somebody has a comment, and I should let you all know in the chat, if you have a fake super chat or a question, put it in all caps, fake super chat, and we will try to get to it. But we don't have any financial obligation to actually read them, so it's up to you.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't gonna respond to some like AI chatbot and look like an idiot. So
No, that was actually my wife. But go on.
okay. Well, thank you. I don't have anything else to say other than that. Thank you. I mean, I'm literally just interested in the truth and justice. Like, that's it. And I've also funneled a lot of the energy of the mourning of the loss of my dad into this work. So I think it is
Very
shown
Alex
in
Stein-ish
the
of you.
results.
Very
What's
Alex, very Alex Steinish of you to go no holds barred after losing a loved one.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
you
I
did.
forgot about that. Yeah.
There we go. All right. Fake super chat from JC. He says, any thoughts on the talk of turning TPUSA chapters into military recruiting centers? Seems really suspicious, especially when the U.S. has been trying to regain the faith of the right. Is that a real thing?
Bro. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's confirmed, but I will. This just spurred another memory. It's also true that TPUSA was selling off the information from geofencing data of their own events to Israel. So
Explain that. What does that mean?
So
Selling
they
off-
would geofence. They geofenced Charlie Kirk's memorial. Like, geofence is just basically using the cell towers to figure out who's all there, to grab all their information. They're doing the same thing to all of the churches, all of the Christian churches in America, like literally all of them, or any of the reasonably sized ones, to try and mindfuck Christians back into Zionism. Like, that's what's happening. And this is like big money that's being ran. These are and I just want to be very explicit, because I think sometimes I say these things and people don't understand the gravity of what I'm saying. These are psychological warfare tactics that are being used by a foreign nation against American Christians writ large, all of them. So they geofence them, and then they text message them things that are like supposed to bring them back onto the plantation of being pro-Israel. It's fucking sick, man. And TPUSA was playing along right alongside it. I mean, like, just despicable.
Absolutely. Now, Clint, I actually, when I first asked you to come on, the very first question I wrote down while I was listening to one of your episodes, you were doing one on Ben Shapiro, and you said something about, or quoted somebody, I don't remember who, you I'm sure do, but it was something to the effect of, if you don't understand that this is a spiritual battle, not a political one, then you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, or something to that effect. Maybe I'm misremembering. Did
I say that?
Did you?
No.
Okay. I heard something about spirituality in one of the Ben Shapiro ones. Basically, I think the main thing I wanted to ask you, I know that you have been not like super heavily religious in the past in any form or fashion, or at least not vocally about it. And have you had any sort of spiritual change? Like, has this changed you at all once you see the evil that exists? Does it make you a more spiritual person? Where are you at on that?
I mean, with the lockdown era, I was already, questioning all that, because it was just like, oh wow, I'm surrounded by either evil or a whole hell of a lot of dumb people, man. And I don't know what's worse. It's like it's scary either way. So yes, and then certainly the Kirk assassination made me reassess that. But I mean, I'll just be straight with you. Like, the biggest inflection point in my life in terms of spirituality was the loss of my dad. And I have no idea why I did this, but I felt compelled to record an episode, and it's the least listened to episode of this year, but it's probably the most powerful thing I've ever put out was A Son's Final Farewell is the name of the episode. And almost nobody clicked on it because it's so out of the norm of what I normally cover, which is politics. Sure. But I was with my dad as he died, and 4 hours after he died, I finally went home, and I didn't know what to do. I couldn't sleep. I didn't, so I just sat down in front of my camera and microphone, and I recorded, and I did like a 50-minute monologue just telling the story of the past 6 weeks that I spent with him, and how powerful it was, and how beautiful it was, and how connecting it was, and how the prayer that I was participating in was so much more powerful than anything I had ever encountered before, full body chills, and how I had this incredible, capacity to feel as if I was like actually communicating with my dad on a spiritual level, and then to be there as he died. And I literally as he died, I was talking to him and, kissing him on his forehead and crying on him, like forehead to forehead. And and I was just telling him over and over again, like, it's okay. I know you've got to be so tired at this point, and I think you're hanging on because I don't think that you believe that I can handle this, but I want you to know that I can. And like, I'm ready. It's okay. You can go. And I just kept saying that over and over again as I'm like bawling, and he stopped breathing right then. And it was just fucking like, I mean, if you've ever dealt with anybody dying, like, you don't know when they're going to die. So the fact that happened in that moment with my head on his is just like, how do you chalk that up to chance? It's like, it was a 6-week spiral into his ultimate demise, but for me to be there and to be that connected to him in that moment was super powerful. And I still get chills when I pray, and I still feel as if I have like a real ability to converse with him in a way that I never really thought that I never believed that was a thing. I've always been a very rationalist, I wouldn't say totally non-spiritual, but like
Yeah.
non-woo woo. You know, I just didn't buy any. Like it didn't happen to me, it's just not a thing. You know.
Yeah.
So it's changed me a lot, man. And I think that's also shined through in my work, and I think that's also why my audience has exploded over the past 6 weeks. Is like people just feel it. They just feel like I feel like I'm like imbued with the Holy Spirit or some shit. It's fucking awesome.
I love it.
Even though I don't think people imbued with the Holy Spirit say fucking awesome and shit. But
oh, we do. We
You know
do.
what I
But I will say that you've always been, even all the times we've bumped it into each other at like conventions and stuff, all your speeches and everything have always just been about finding the truth, seeking the truth. The truth is fuck all else. It's the truth. If it's true, it's true. And so it's amazing to see you go through like this, the lockdown stuff, the Charlie stuff. Not that it's amazing for you to go through your dad's stuff, obviously, but
no.
to see like some of the transformations really cool. To just be like, this is true. As far as I can tell, in reality, this is true, even if I don't have all the answers and can't explain exactly how the shooting happened or exactly what it is that exists when we die or what happens, whatever.
Right.
There's truth out there, and it's worth pursuing, and I respect it.
And I think, you know, whether you want to put scripture to it or some religious term to it, I don't think that's necessarily. It's like, I just think that like I am driven by truth, and I think that is godly. And I think that is like the highest godly thing is just, that is truth. God is truth. That's how I feel about it. So, and I just,
if there is a God, if there is something that made this or something that has any part in this, then that's what truth is. So pursue it.
Right. And truth is good. And so like, let's just pursue that with reckless abandon. And ultimately, I think that like the fate, and I know this gets dramatic, but like I feel like the fate of our country and the fate of, you know, peaceful civilization really hangs in the balance of, can we pursue the truth even when we are surrounded by like deeply corrupt institutions? Because we are. Like, that's obviously true. Like, they created a fucking bioweapon. You know, and then they locked us in our houses and lied to us about it, and then they forced us to take medication that didn't work. Like, we're surrounded institutionally by really deeply dangerous people. So it's not up to them; it's up to us. In light of that, are we going to pursue the truth, no matter what it costs us? Because that's how I feel about it, and I feel like whatever the cost is, it pales in comparison to allowing for civilization to literally die. Because if we just go, well, sure, probably intel agencies took out Charlie Kirk, and sure, they created a bioweapon, and sure, they transferred trillions of dollars of wealth to the wealthy and stole it from us, but like, I don't want to you know, risk my job, so I'm not going to be honest about it. Like, well, then you've lost everything at that point. Like, it's over. Just pack it in, dude. So I just refuse, and I try I hope I don't really even try. I just think that it, like, people feel that, like, intrinsically, like they feel it spiritually. So I hope that I can inspire people to follow.
I agree with you, and I also feel like Charlie Kirk would agree with you on everything you just said. He was
and
obviously
a good example of that.
Yeah, he was obviously an ultra Christian and landed in a different camp than you to a lot of degrees, but he seemed to be in a pursuit for truth, no matter where it got him or where it landed him in the end.
Well,
and
I'm telling you, in the 48 hours before he died, I'm not sure that our camps were that far apart.
Yep.
I think that he was getting real close to feeling the same way that we do about that nation. So about that government, let me be very clear, because I just did a show with Bob Murphy, and
Sure.
Sometimes I get in trouble for.
Well, they make it complicated for a reason. So
yeah, they made it complicated, not me, motherfucker. But yeah. So
a couple more fake super chats here. Fake super chat from Nathan Klein, and he might have meant this as a joke, but I think it's a fair question. Are we in a simulation? I don't think it's an unfair question, because we're at a point where, like, Donald Trump, like, the right wing, a lot of them hate him, and I saw today, like, I don't know, just like everything is so clusterfucked around, and like CNN or one of the left wing media outlets defending Donald Trump for not releasing the Epstein files or something like that. It's like the people who were trying to throw him in prison, supposedly. I just am to the point where I'm like, it's all fake, it's all bullshit, it's all a lie, all the politics, all of it, like it's all rigged. Donald Trump was rigged. I don't buy any of it. Do you think we're in a simulation? Do you think it's all rigged, or do you think there's still a political solution? And are you still there? Because you're a little greeny.
Yeah, I can terrible.
Oh,
Um,
you're breaking up a lot. Can you drop out and jump back in? We'll only keep you for a minute longer.
Gotcha.
All right, we'll get him back in. Dave, any thoughts while we bring him back?
Just about. I'm having 30,000 foot view thoughts of like, we spent the whole. All right, let's let Clint.
Yeah, go ahead, Clint.
I'll be very, very succinct. Those are two totally different questions, whether or not we're in a simulation and whether or not there's political solutions to this. Like those, I don't think those are connected at all personally, but yeah, it's certainly possible we're in a simulation. I prefer not to feel that way, so I just choose not to. I like to believe that I'm in the source level because I feel like
I like to think that the simulation wouldn't allow me to get to this point in my thoughts. So,
Yeah, right.
If it was, I don't think they would allow this.
Yeah, I mean, but it is also obviously logically true that like we are inevitably headed to a technological future where creation of a simulation that's indistinguishable from existing reality is like going to happen, and there's a fair argument to be made that it's already here. And if it's ever going to happen in the future, then that means that it could have happened in the past, and we're still in it now. So, yeah, everybody knows simulation theory. It's a compelling argument. It's also just a total mindfuck, and I think that it strips you of your autonomy, and it can tend to black pill a lot of people, or maybe even make them lose their minds. So I'm just like, spit out the black pill, homie. Fuck simulation theory.
Absolutely. Let's burn through a couple of these. Fake super chat from Autumn. She says, "What message do you have for potential whistleblowers who might help blow the lid off the real story of what went down?"
Don't bring it to me.
Leave me out of it. Take it to Candace Owens. That would be my recommendation. Yes. She is all about it. Go for it.
I think it's at tips@candaceowens.com or whatever the fucking the chat or the leak line is. I don't want that smoke. Bring it to fucking Candace Owens. Take it to Ian Carroll. They're much more equipped for that stuff than I am. Like,
you can bring it to me if you want, but I'm just taking it to Candace Owens. I'm not putting that shit out.
Right. Well, I say that is not out of cowardice. It's out of OPSEC. I don't have any OPSEC. I'm like,
we don't have fuck you money, like, or fuck you status at this point.
Yeah, Candace Owens can hire an army of attorneys to try and defend you. I'm not going to do that. So take it to
Project Veritas, Candace Owens, anybody who's definitely got the lawyers to lawyer up and fight it. Take it to them.
Think about how crazy this reality is that, like, I'm being totally sincere. The best person you could take whistleblower information to right now is Candace Owens. Yep. not the FBI, not the Sheriff's Department in Utah. Take it to Candace Owens.
On this, at least, yes. Nathan Klein says, "Fake super chat. I lost my father 3 years ago. Clint's video was very cathartic for me. Thank you, Clint."
Glad to hear that, man. That's even though I only had a couple thousand viewers on it, that was by far the number one response that I got. And I don't even know how it's possible because I got so few viewers. I guess it went viral in audio form, but I got thousands of emails and texts and DMs and shit from people that were like, I lost my son, my uncle, my dad, my grandma, my grandfather. And I've never had anyone explain it the way you did. And it just helped me so much. And it was, so that felt really good.
Awesome.
It made the pain of it worthwhile.
Yeah. Awesome. Romulux says, "Fake super chat. Also, what the fuck was going on with that George Zinn guy? He tells the cops repeatedly to shoot him. And what about the entire crime scene being paved over immediately? I do think that's worth addressing, the crime scene being paved over. That was hardly even brought up in the news in any capacity whatsoever, but like a week after Charlie Kirk got shot on this location, they just repaved the location and changed all of it, which sounds very 9/11-ish to me."
Well, yes, it does. And an important tidbit for people to understand too, at the time of the paving, when they were doing that to the crime scene, we did not even know about the spent round, like the round inside of Charlie's body. And even now, like allegedly there are bullet fragments, 30-06 bullet fragments that are found essentially near his spine. But if there's fragments, that means that there's a distinct possibility that there could be other things that aren't in his body, maybe. But now we'll never know because they paved it over. And isn't that convenient? So I don't know. It's just everything about it is so fucking sketchy. It's crazy. And it makes me so mad. But like, I can't even be that surprised because that's exactly how they dealt with the Butler, Pennsylvania attack against Trump. It was like,
I'm saying 9/11,
and it was
Trump,
like, that was the fucking president of the United States, or like almost like soon to be the president. And they're just like, we don't care about motive. Who cares? It was just one.
We don't care that the CIA just stopped their job for the proper amount of time for this to happen. And also, we haven't brought up, you mentioned the weird, I think you mentioned the weird anomalies in the Butler, Pennsylvania thing, like the booking. I don't know if there was weird stuff around the booking, but Candace has brought up the weird things around the booking of this being the first stop on Charlie's tour, and it being booked like a month in advance rather than the normal like 6 months to a year and a half in advance.
It gets way better than that, bro. So the first time that the email comes out from TPUSA, where they're like essentially starting to discuss this and schedule it, all of a sudden, all of those Google searches start. It's like right around the TPUSA Tampa event with Tucker, Dave, Josh Hammer. And it's like right then was when the Utah event started to get planned, and the search history in Tel Aviv, in Langley, in Atlanta FBI field office, they all start to spike right around the exact same time. It's fucking crazy, bro. It's crazy.
Again, put it into a movie and tell me that people wouldn't be pissed to find out that it's a random furry at the end of all of it after you see all the hints and all the clues and everything. But Clint, I do want to get you out of here. I know you're exhausted. Dave, I'll get you and I can stick around for a few minutes and chat about our final thoughts and all this after Clint goes. But Clint, do you have any final thoughts, any final words for anybody, or go ahead and roll plugs into there as well?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Liberty Lockdown's the show. If anybody wants to check me out, please do. But yeah, I mean, I just hope that people just keep going. As I tried to express to Dave and Ian, I think Ian carries the urgency that I do, but I think most people don't. I think it's like there's this tendency once you get lied to so much and there's like so little justice to be found that just everybody just kind of gives up. Like, and I feel like that's where we're at. Like Anthony Fauci
gets exhausting.
Funded bioweapon research, and like nobody wants to believe that he's ever going to go to prison. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. He probably never will. But guess what? I'm never going to stop calling for it ever. Like I'm never going to stop. Like I just feel like we need a little bit more Clint energy in the world. We need people that are like, I'm just literally not going to accept this. It's unjust, and I will not allow it. And just fucking just stay with that. Just stay with that energy. I don't care how exhausting it is. I don't care how black-pilled you feel. You just have to maintain that mentality that it looks like a political commentator, a guy who I considered a colleague more or less, was murdered by intelligence agencies in front of the world, and we're not going to accept a cover-up. We cannot accept a cover-up. If we live in a country where they can just whack political commentators because they're flipping on a narrative about a foreign country, we're in serious fucking trouble. So we need to it has to end here. It has to end now. And support Candace Owens, support anybody who's fucking digging on this. Like, it takes tremendous balls to be pursuing it, especially the way she is. So I will not abide anybody fucking shit talking Candace right now. Despite the fact that I've criticized some of her tactics, and I think some of it's been sloppy. Overall, though, I can't tell you how appreciative I am of her and her willingness to risk
rather have
everything.
Sloppy than nothing. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas, Posobiec and all these other fucking people are like, I saw a leftist kill Charlie Kirk, and I saw a left celebrate. And you're like, you didn't.
Project Mockingbird 2.0. Like, that's where we're at.
Yeah,
we got the new mainstream media is the podcasters, and now we've got the new Project Mockingbird, where I saw a leftist kill Charlie Kirk. No, you didn't.
Nope.
One more thing. Crypto Man Records says fake super chat, Freedom or Die Part 2. Clint, any thoughts? And give your plugs.
I still get mocked for that. Man,
we don't, because we're too small too. Doug. People are still like, that's the best thing you ever did to us, but to you they're like, oh, that sucked.
I love it. I get shit for everything though. That's just how it works. Yeah, at Liberty Lock Pod, that's it. But yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. This is the first time I've actually laid out a seemingly cohesive a hypothesis as to all of the research I've done over the past 6 weeks. So I hope I was able to convey it in a, at least somewhat compelling fashion. It's obviously a lot of disjointed information that I've put together in my own mind over this time period, but I'll just be straight with you. I think I'm closer to the truth than the FBI is. That's my honest opinion.
Yeah.
So I'll let the audience be the judge, and it'll be interesting to get feedback after this one.
Awesome. And I will say, to clarify, Crypto Man is the other guy who sang on that song with the three of us.
Oh, that's right.
He's definitely not mocking you. He's requesting another round.
I need another feature. Give me 16 more bars.
Let's do Freedom or Die, but after one of our own died, and make it about that.
How about Freedom or Live? Can we do that, please? 'Cause I really like to live.
Freedom or Israel. Everybody follow Clint at Liberty Lock Pod or wherever Clints are sold. Clint, thank you so much for being here, man. We will let you bail, but thanks so much. Dave, you got any final words for Clint before he leaves?
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you bringing that fire. I'm glad you got to have that moment with your father, and
it was awesome.
Keep up the great work, man.
Well, thank you guys, and you as well. And I'm sure we'll do it again soon. See you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, man. See ya. All right, Dave. So that happened. You didn't get a lot of airtime, neither did I. It was mostly about Clint. But Clint's the one who's been doing the digging and everything. I do want to get your thoughts on that. Normally we would do this in the after part, but I don't want to set it up. So thoughts on that? Have you been swayed at all? I don't know. Are you in the same place you started before this conversation, or where you at?
Oh yeah, even further convinced. I got extra evidence from Clint. The global triangulation between Langley and Tel Aviv months beforehand. That's pretty compelling stuff. I'll have to look into it, but he's a pretty reliable source. And I just I'm really glad we had this episode, and I'm really glad, dude. You said it in the waiting room there, but you didn't have any clips for this show, which I thought was great, because I thought that we had enough to talk about and listen to, and so I want to say I appreciate that. I don't think we needed it tonight. It was just nice to have a conversation.
There's so much to this conversation, especially with somebody like Clint who's dug into it so much more than we have. There's so much to it that where do you start? Where do you end? Because if you start at the beginning and just work your way through it, it could be a Daryl Cooper 6-hour revisionist history, whatever documentary, if you really want to dig through it. But there's some glaring points, and to Clint's credit, he was like, we don't need to talk about all the the cameras or the this or the that. We just need to talk about these very glaring, obvious points.
Yeah, and just his energy. Like I said, I watched that show before coming to this one, but man, we've said a couple times slow news week or something like that, but honestly, this is super important. I'm not saying you need to get lost in the minutia of the details and all the shit, but I really appreciated him even going to Dave on this show, who Dave kind of helped Clint. He could have maybe taken a backseat, but he was not pushy, but
I don't know that I would have pushed Dave as much as he pushed Dave on that show. So I'm really glad it did.
Absolutely. I thought it was commendable. Because it's his homie, and he's got a lot of clout and all that shit. And I felt like he had an opportunity to, man, you need to see this, and he does need to see this. And it's also fun to watch Whiskey Dave late night podcast, just kind of have fun with the homies. That was enjoyable too. And Ian Carroll is fantastic. So that whole episode I just thought was great. And but my takeaway basically from that was, yeah, man, like Clint said, I'm not over this. I'm not over 9/11, let alone
right.
COVID or Epstein or
Trump's
Charlie
assassination attempt or Charlie Kirk. Yeah,
right. I'm not over any of that shit. Hashtag never forget. So, and it's the same players every single fucking time.
Yeah. Hashtag never forget the dots that all seem to line up in a certain direction.
Yeah, man. And my big picture, 30,000 foot view of this episode is that and I'll just, I'll meet people where they're at. You don't need to be religious or spiritual, or you can be an atheist to hear this message. But we spoke a lot about the murder cult tonight, and you can get lost in the weeds there. Oh, the neocons, the Zionists, Israel, whatever, the evangelical, all this shit. but it's you would get one every time. But this is the source. Whatever's doing this is the source of ultimate evil on earth. So what would that be? Well, if you're religious, that's the devil. And that's what we talked about, the
Inversion of truth.
The inversion of truth, and all the lies and all the murder and all the mayhem and death and destruction, right? That's what the devil would do. But you don't have to call it that. You can just call it evil or whatever, or these human beings who are part of this murder cult, which that's obviously what they are. But then we touched on the opposite end of that, because of course there's the opposite end of that, which is the truth and love. And that was really a cool part of this show, because that's like a good question to Clint, by the way. And it's cool that seems like that's a natural reaction to meeting or being exposed to ultimate evil, is to like, oh, well, like your spirituality, your goodness, the need for truth and love and God, or God, whatever you want to call it. Don't even care. That just is a natural reaction to that. So that gives me a lot
There's
of
a
hope.
line in the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose where the priest is like, he's on trial because he was trying to exorcise a demon from Emily Rose, but they were like, oh, she's just epileptic. It's not a demon, whatever. So it's all about this trial and this court case. And the priest says that Emily Rose said, and it's based, I'm sure, very loosely based, Hollywood style, on a true story. But he said that there's a line that she said, people say that God is dead, but how can they think that if I show them the devil? And then she allowed herself to be to expose the devil to some degree. So that to say, like, there's I'm a skeptic of all skeptics, and I'm still skeptical. Like, I call myself a Christian and was raised a pastor's son. I've had my atheist, agnostic, whatever bouts and everything, and gone down all the rabbit holes, and am open to anything that exposes itself to be true. But it's interesting that the truth that people keep, when even the most skeptical people, when they keep going toward truth, come back to a certain category that is also the antithesis of the evil that is currently trying to convince you all that genocide in Gaza is good, because the Bible says that genocide in Gaza is good. Anything that Israel does, if you bless Israel, you shall be blessed. Like, they're using that. They're using biblical scripture. If the evil people who are doing evil things are using biblical scripture to try and convince you, I don't know. It just lends more credence to there's something to this than any of the evangelical pastors lend it to it. But there's something when you see the evil in the world and you keep looking for truth, and you realize that the truth that they're really, really not comfortable with is something beyond our realm and our understanding, then I don't know. Maybe there's something there. Maybe not. Sorry.
No, I agree with you, man. When he was talking about how they, use whatever AI programs to like seek out every single evangelical Christian in America so they can propagandize them from a country 7,000 miles away to be cool with the murder cult, to like literally
a good job.
Entire decades long ops to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that American Christians think that whatever they're doing over there is in the name of that's what Jesus would want, because Jesus said that this place.
And it's not like it's not like this is the first time either. It's not like it's this grand conspiracy where it was all leading up to this where they could annihilate Gaza. It's all the other things, like all the other the sand people that we bomb because Israel doesn't like them, and they are our greatest ally because they give us intel. And the intel turns out to be like, Epstein's friends and everything. Like, all that shit. Like, listen to Scott Horton. Listen to people smarter than me. I'm not going to pretend like I'm the wizard on this. And also, Scott Horton's not nearly as conspiratorial as we are. Neither is Daryl Cooper or Clint Russell, for that matter, or anybody of grand stature where we're not. But listen to all of them, and you make your own yarn board and determine what is true, put the pieces together, and come to whatever conclusions you want to. But, yeah, we're small enough now, still, I would say, that I can say, Clint's wrong. It's definitely Israel. it's definitely Israel. But it's fine. We're still small enough that we can get away with that. And, probably Kash Patel's honey of a lady is got some things. I'm sad that we couldn't get to the news today, Dave, because there's a lot of news actually. But I'm really glad that we had this conversation with Clint and dug deeper into this thing that has so many implications about so many things, be it Epstein, the wars, all of our intertwinedness with Israel and everything. And for it to be from a guy he's obviously not just a born anti-Israel guy. He's seemingly atheistic in upbringing or background, and coming to conclusions that are like, yep, that's a problem that they're doing that, and that doesn't make sense. But I don't know. Any final thoughts? Any final plugs? Anything you want to promote, Dave?
No, there's nothing. I want to promote dissidentmedia.com and Dissident Media on Twitter. Beep.
Nazi
Go follow. Couldn't go one episode without the Nazi fags.
At least one. It's my minimum.
Thanks for dropping it on mine. No, I appreciate that. No, great chat, dude. I just I loved it, and I'm a little fired up. I'm like inspired. So thanks,
Good.
Clint, and well, let's do this again.
Let's do. And you can follow me at TSIDpod on Twitter, at Dissident Media on Twitter, or wherever the System's Down, Dan Smotz's, or Dissident Medias are sold. Follow Dave at Dave vs. Goliath 1. I don't think he mentioned that, but he should, because he's still got a good Twitter over there. And thank you guys for hanging out. No after party, but you got it just publicly. Let us know in the comments. Any thoughts on any of this stuff? Thoughts on Charlie? Thoughts on the conversation or anything else? Let us know in the comments, because it not only fills us with joy on the inside, but it also helps the algorithms, helps us beat the algorithms, really, that refuse to let us have super chats or any of the normal fun stuff. But thank you guys for being here. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll talk to you next time. Until then, question everything, staying comfortable, be bad, have fun. I found my button, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Smash all the like and subscribe buttons, because that's what we say at the end of videos. Good night, everybody.
This concludes our broadcast day.
This has been